and so you're inventing God as wish fulfillment. I'm taking here Mr. Hitchens' argument. Please respond to how your feeling thankful necessitates God. I think that you can very easily say that you're inventing a God because you want to feel thankful.
Yes. The counter-argument to this would be that it's simply a particular manifestation of wish fulfillment, so that you would like there to be someone to thank, and so you do. The difficulty with that is when you look at the vast array of cool stuff that exists around us, there seems to me to be, as one scientist put it, it looks as though the universe is a put-up job. Everywhere you go, there's something really fantastic going on. And it's not as though there's just one or two things where if I find an object, a brightly colored rock in the forest, and if I'm an unbeliever and I'm walking along and I find a rock, and I don't know if I should thank it, I don't know if I should thank anyone for that one rock. But suppose it's 17 trillion beautiful things, glorious things. It begins to look like a divine conspiracy, and at a certain point, a refusal to give thanks looks like willful stubbornness. So I want to argue that in Romans 1, Paul says the fundamental problem that men have is they refuse to honor God as God and refuse to give him thanks. So I believe that thanksgiving is at the heart of our difficulty in seeing.
Okay, let's move. Another
Well,
question.
can I just say something on this?
Go ahead.
Because it goes very strongly to my point about the totalitarian character of religion. What sort of person wants his subjects, who he created, he made, to reward him by incessantly, and remember it says everlastingly, evermore praising God and saying, holy, 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 and always thanking and never stopping. It seems a rather capricious and tyrannical demand, doesn't it, to you? Doesn't it to me? I used to wonder when I was a kid, they say, well, I could work out what hell might be like very easily, everyone can. Convincing accounts of heaven are harder to come by unless you look in the Quran. But the Christian ones seem to offer a life of everlasting praise. And I remember thinking, what would that be like? I mean, after the first week of saying thank you at the top of my voice, wouldn't the thing start to seem a little subject to diminishing returns? Possibly even for the person listening to them as well. We'd never want to hear anything else from me but that. That's all that's demanded of me. I've been to North Korea. I've seen a state where that's what people have to do. They have to worship and thank all day, all the time. Everything they get is from the infinite love and generosity of the dear leader and the great leader, who, by the way, are a father and son reincarnation, which make North Korea just one short of a trinity, in case that detail interests you at all. There is one reason I have in my own life to wish sometimes to say thank God, and in a sense to wish I could mean it. And the word for it is apotropaic. Apotropaic is the gesture you make to avoid hubris, in other words, so that if your book is a bestseller, you don't just say, hey, I must be a better writer than I thought. You want to be able to say, it's nice to think that not everything is done by hand. And so the idea of thanking is a good way of indulging the apotropaic, but don't go taking it too literally or condemning yourself to a life of groveling, an infinity of groveling, because that would be caving into the sadomasochistic totalitarian core of religious faith.
North Korea is an atheistic state, by the way.
No, it isn't. It's the most religious state on the planet.
Next question.
That's what I said.
Mr. Hitchens, I don't mean to be rude, but you seem to have this wide-eyed...
I have a very thick skin.
All right, excellent. You seem to have this wide-eyed, mystical view of human meta-solidarity as moral absolute, and I dare say the whirling dervishes would be proud. But why should this human meta-solidarity as moral absolute, why shouldn't I believe that there are A, competing solidarities? Why can't I believe that? And B, why can't I believe that what you're doing is basically just a power play upon all of us? And that really morality is simply your preference that you are commanding of all of us?
I have to say, it's not rude at all as phrase, but it was rude of you not to be paying attention earlier. And you didn't do yourself any favors either. I didn't say, look at how superbly moral we primates are. I said the morality we do have is innate in us and is a necessary condition for our survival as a species. I didn't say how wonderful it was. Nor do I say how wonderful it is that we're also programmed to rape, steal, cheat, and lie. And I don't blame any celestial deity for that either, because it's because we are animals, not sinners, animals, but poorly evolved primate species that these things are innate in us. It doesn't need to look for a supernatural explanation. How could I prove this wasn't all a power play on my part? I couldn't. What was your other question? There was a closing one.
Well, the other question was on competing solidarities.
Yeah,
You've talked about
by all
this
means there are,
big
yeah.
solidarity that we
Sure.
have with each other. Why don't we just have competing solidarities?
Well, we do.
I mean, there's brotherhood amongst solidarity amongst thieves.
Surely. And among fascists, very much so. And in particular among communists. I mean, it's actually what they call it, brotherhood. I don't see how that represents any kind of challenge to anything I've said. And that our species is divided into subgroups and tribes. I don't think we are subdivided by race. I think we're all the same race, but there are different ethnicities and tribalisms, and certainly a very large number of solidarities. The attempt made by the Bible to define these is the most laughable one.
It's a challenge to your position. It's a
The
challenge.
sons of Ham and the sons of Noah and all the rest of it, and the belief held by many Christians for a very long time, and by some of the Mormon persuasion to this very day, that black people are a special creation, not quite human, and condemned to be that color from before they were born. None of this, as you'll see, means that religion can shed any light on this stuff at all.
It's a challenge.
All of these things can be discussed as if there was no supernatural dimension. And as problems, they remain exactly the way they would be if there was no supernatural dimension.
It's a challenge to your position, because if our values and our decisions and our code arises from our solidarity, if there are competing solidarities, you don't know what to do.
Last quick question.
Professor Hitchens.
It doesn't undermine my position at all if there's no instruction to what to do there. When human interests and human rights, interpretations of right collide, that doesn't condemn my position at all. It's what you would expect of an evolved primate species. It's Hegel's definition of tragedy as a conflict between two rights. These things will occur. You can't resolve them by referring them upward to a celestial totalitarianism. You will get no help from that quarter.
Professor Hitchens,
Sir.
if I could step into your car for a moment, would not extinction be a great mercy for the human race? As it would be an end to these meaningless chemical reactions that are as likely to cause pain as pleasure, that apparently aren't leading toward any great conclusion or justice or redemption. Why should I not undertake a campaign to exterminate the human race and call myself a liberator of the human race from the pain and suffering that has marked its progress through history?
Well, you're addressing your question to the wrong person. It's not I who looks forward to the end of the world and to the apocalypse and to the last days. It's not I who says my belief can't wait for this to happen, that'll be the happy day when the trumpet shall sound and we shall be changed. I don't look forward to that at all.
But why not?
Ask someone who believes any of this.
But I'm asking why not, since your world is without hope and
Because with the short life I have been given by evolution and natural selection, I'm not going to be pushed around by theocrats in the short time I do have.
So are you thankful to evolution and natural selection for the short time you've been given?
Yeah. I have been, here I am. There's no getting around it. I don't attribute my presence here, as some so arrogantly do, to a divine plan. I don't think I'm the object of a divine plan. Do I look to you as if I'm the object of a divine plan?
Absolutely.
Thought not. Whereas, but the explanation that I'm here because of the operation of the laws of biology is perfectly satisfying to me, and it doesn't leave anything unexplained. It doesn't mean everything is explained, however. That would be reductionist. But I don't look forward. No, I don't look forward to the destruction of the world. I don't look forward to the end of the world at all. It's those who believe in divine creation and divine dispensation who look forward to that. And you should be asking them, and perhaps yourself, why that is. I do think religion does conceal a death wish, not very carefully either.
At the very least, the end of the world, on Christopher's terms, would mean the cessation of all pain. And there is something that you could look forward to in that.
Yeah, but when Buddhists and others say, if only I would join I'd cease to suffer from pain and struggle and anxiety. And so I say, I don't believe you could give that to me. I don't. But if you could, I wouldn't think it was worth the having. I like conflict. I like anxiety. I like struggle. I like combat. I like all these things. They make life worth living for me. I don't want there to be a permanent peace and tranquility and banality. I don't want it at all. Okay?
But that's
What
what
is
you're
the
gonna,
bu- by the way,
but that's what you're going to get.
By the way, what does the Buddhist say to the hot dog vendor?
What?
Make me one with everything.
What does the Buddhist say to the Christian?
No, wait.
I'm going to get in my karma and run over your
No,
dogma.
wait. The other shoe has to fall. So the hot dog vendor gives him a slathered dog with everything, and the Buddhist hands over $20, starts to munch, waits for a bit, catch up on his saffron robes. Nothing happens. And he says to the hot dog vendor, "What about my change?" And the vendor says, "Change comes only from within."
On that enlightening note, we must cease this struggle. Please join me in thanking both of our debaters.